LEGO Batman the video game, released in 2008, is just like LEGO Star Wars, except that instead of playing as Anakin Star Wars, you play as Batman and fight iconic supervillains like the Joker, the Riddler, and who can forget Killer Moth. I'm a frog, and for this video, I decided to try and 100% LEGO Batman, except with a time limit. I have to do it in under 24 hours. So I'll have to beat every level, collect every mini-kit and red brick, unlock every character, and so on, and I only have 24 hours to do it. Let's hop in. Our journey begins with Riddler going over an evil plan alongside a few other villains. Two-Face, Arnold Schwarzenegger, I Can Fix Her, and Creed's second album, Human Clay. It's up to Batman and Robin to stop them, and it's showtime. For the most part, this is just like every other LEGO game in that for each level, I need to get a certain number of studs, unlock 10 mini-kits, which are now Batman-themed, and find a red brick. And throughout the whole game, there are 25 hidden civilians in danger you gotta rescue. One unique thing about this game is that Batman and Robin both have their own sets of suits that they can switch to. Like, this is Batman's demolition suit, which lets me blow stuff up. Or there's Robin's techno suit that lets me pilot an RCXD and bomb a garage. We ran into Clayman trying to rob a bank, so we punched him and blew up some of their silver bars, rip everyone who had their money here, but Riddler gets away with a comically large key. And I'm sure you've noticed by now, unless you have Helen Keller disease, that there's a timer in the bottom right. That'll show my time in the playthrough every step of the way. So with level 1 down, we're about 14 minutes in. Next up, we went to an ice cream factory to fight Mr. Freeze, who's really leaning hard into the whole cold thing. I unlocked Robin's magnet suit, which lets him walk up these metal strip things, and Batman's glide suit, which lets him glide. They were very creative with the suit names. We made our way through the ice cream factory, solving basic puzzles, fighting the Riddler's goon squad and later Eskimo women before fighting the White Devil himself, David Freeze. To fight him, we punched him, built a contraption, then punched him some more, which caused him to fly all over the place. Riddler committed an act of literal torture by tickling his foot, then got away yet again. Him and Harvey Two-Face drive in an armored car, which Gordon tries his hardest to stop, but Riddler calls in backup, and level 3 is our first vehicle level with Batman in the iconic Batmobile and Robin on a Vespa. One great change they made in this game's vehicle levels is that studs from destroying stuff are just automatically collected rather than you having to drive over them before they disappear. This means I had no reason not to just hold down the shoot button and destroy everything in the city like a real superhero. As far as gameplay is concerned, the level is about dragging Riddler henchmen armored cars around to bat signal spots so they can be taken by the police to a farm where they can roam free, and then we find Two-Face driving like a twerp who just bought a new McLaren. The way we defeat Two-Face's armored car is by dragging him around with our tow cable to a bat signal so the police can drop bombs on him. But somehow, after being in a car that literally exploded, Riddler gets away unscathed with the help of Poison Ivy's marijuana tree. Batman tracks down Poison Ivy's location to a botanical garden, big surprise there, and level 4 begins with me farming carrots and fighting green people. I showcased my desire to protect the environment by destroying every single plant on my path for money, and took out a set of glass doors with Batman's Sonic suit. Inside, I saved another civilian from being gooned and used Robin's tracksuit to vacuum up scattered red, green, and yellow Lego pieces to build a device to kill the plant monster from Little Shop of Horrors. Batman's heat protection suit lets him touch very hot Lego objects that would normally damage you, if not kill you. There's not many times you need it throughout the game, but it does at least look kind of cool. We fought our way through a lab, this must be where they make the marijuana, hopped across flowers and grabbed a mini kit, ripped Robin, and made it to the boss fight. This one's a bit more complicated than the others so far. Instead of just punching her, you have to build bombs to blow up each one of her plant monsters, and once they're all dead, then you just punch her. Afterwards, she tries the old "don't hurt me, I'm just a girl" thing, which Robin falls for because he's a simp, but Batman is unfazed and throws a metal bat at her and knocks her TF out. Using various Riddler clues he's collected to this point, Batman uncovers that the Riddler's master plan is to steal Gotham's gold reserves instead of like mind controlling the city or something else more fitting, I don't know. So the last level in Riddler's arc sees Batman and Robin go to the gold reserve place to stop the Riddler and Two-Face from doing their own Robin. I got to glide across a gap, grabbed a mini kit up on a ledge, walked in the magnet suit, took an elevator, and went inside. Two-Face saw us and decided to fill the room with toxic waste, which he's able to walk on unharmed for some reason. This boss fight's a little strange. In between punching Two-Face in the face, you have to find Robin's tracksuit and suck your way to a boat. The fight continues in the gold vault, where I took down the rest of Two-Face's hearts, which meant it was Riddlin' time, but unfortunately, he Riddlered all over the place. He has a big gun that you have to build mirrors to reflect his shots back at him with. Then, like every other villain so far, he makes the dumb decision to fight you head-on in a fist fight, which I obviously easily won. Then he mind controls Two-Face, who by this point probably has CTE, but after knocking him out again, I finished off the Riddler. Everyone's in jail, and that's the first set of levels done. An hour and a half in, and I've completed 8.2% of the game. Kind of like how LEGO Indiana Jones is divided by the original 3 movies and LEGO Star Wars by its movies, LEGO Batman has 3 stories with 5 levels each. That was the Riddler's, the other 2 are Penguin and the Joker. But instead of continuing on with those, I went to this lever where, once pulled, you switch switch perspectives and go from the Batcave to Arkham Asylum, where I'm now Riddler and Clayface, because here you can play all 3 stories but from the villain's perspective. So that adds another 15 levels to complete on top of the hero side. I went ahead next and did the Riddler's villain story. Same thing as before, they're planning to steal a bunch of stuff to get to the gold reserves, blah blah blah, except this time we see Riddler and Clay Thompson go to a parking garage where I took over. Every supervillain in this game has their own unique abilities. Like the Riddler is able to control people's minds when they have a question mark above their head. Clayface, on the other hand, is a super strength character who can pull or push objects with orange handles on them. What is bro doing? We built a giant crane and ran over a gate, fought the police, and broke into the bank place or whatever, where we get the giant key to conclude level 1 of the story. Level 2 sees me in control of Mr. Freeze and the Riddler. You won't believe this, but Mr. Freeze's power is that he has a freeze gun that can freeze people. It kinda sucks though, so for the most part, I just stuck to punching people. I pulled a couple levers to open a door, and we was in the ice cream factory. I used the freeze gun to make a path in the melted ice cream, a mechanic that's only used in like 1 level besides this. Now, the ending of the level was a very complex puzzle that required me jumping on colors in a specific order. This is probably what the IGN reviewer who covered this game meant when he said the puzzles are too hard.
Some of the puzzles are very obscure, and you'll be standing around without knowing what to do, which is a pretty big problem in a game that's designed for kids, because you figure if somebody who's played games for the last 20 years can't figure out what they're supposed to do, some 6-year-old kid is probably also going to be pretty lost.
That isn't fake. I swear to God, game journalists are not beating the allegations. Next, our adventure took us to the plant factory with Riddler and the most sane redhead, where I got to drive a flower car around and beat up minimum wage employees. Poison Ivy has a bunch of abilities like being able to jump higher and walk in toxic waste. There's a couple more things, but I don't really feel like explaining them. You probably play the game anyway, so why should I? I don't know you people anything. I rode a giant swan, mind controlled a couple guys who look like Bernie Sanders, built an elevator, and rode it to the final room. In the final room, we have to fight the police coming straight from the underground while also building power block things and jumping on switches that end up growing trees and flowers that Poison Ivy has a very questionable relationship with. Riddler and Two-Face drive around and sneak past the cops so they can dig a hole into a secret military base or something like that. There's lasers and weapons, and it looks about as high-tech as a Lego game probably can look. They even have escalators. I did another puzzle to unlock a door that was probably too advanced for the average game journalist. There was a room that flooded with Mountain Dew. I got greedy and tried to grab at least 1 blue stud off a hot object and ended up committing an R. Bud Dwyer. And the last room featured me building a robot and destroying this with said robot. This let Riddler and Mew-Face get a cannon, which they apparently needed for their plan. So we went to the gold reserve, and thus begins the last chapter in this villain story. This level featured Riddler stepping up his game to mind control a helicopter pilot, and I got to drive a killdozer. Otherwise, it was more the same. We fought the SWAT team and ran through toxic waste and built a Megazord, which let us break into the gold vault, and that's that. First villain story completed. So with all those levels done, I backtracked to the first level in the story, because the reason I wanted to do them all now to begin with instead of doing the other hero levels first is that each of the Riddler villain levels have score multiplier red bricks, which are absolutely essential for getting 100%. The first level has score times 2, which doubles the value of every stud you pick up. While I was here anyway though, I made sure to grab all the mini kits, and I saved a person for being burglarized. And of course, I grabbed the red brick for score times 2. It cost 1,000,000 studs, which I could just barely afford. And ho ho ho, now I have a multiplier. Now that I was done with all the Riddler villain levels, I went back to the Batcave and started on the Penguin's missions as Batman and Robin. In the Penguin's lair, he shows off a penguin that knows how to use a gat and explains his evil plan to take over the city with an army of them. But meanwhile, Catwoman stole a diamond instead of ditching the cat thing and getting a job, so we set off to catch her. There was only 1 more suit left for me to unlock at this point, and it's not even in this level, so for the most part, this is more of the same. One of the biggest differences is that the henchmen wear blue instead of green. Blue like water is blue, because penguins are aquatic. Like, you know, the penguin. I passed by the red brick at one point. I couldn't get it because I needed the Sonic suit, but good to know nonetheless. We caught up to Catwoman, and her boss fight is kind of annoying because she jumps around all over the place and you have to chase her, but after beating her up enough, that's the level done and it's on to level 2, which just so happens to be another vehicle level. Keeping up with the aquatic theme, you get the Batboat while Robin gets whatever this is. So we made our way through the water, blowing up penguin submarines and crocodile boats, and I grabbed a few mini kits, so that was cool. The boss fight is against a really big submarine that you take out by dragging bombs into. You would think this would be easy, but I found a way to make it hard by repeatedly missing the right spots. After having their submarine blow up, Penguin and Killer Croc decapitate the Boy Wonder and flee into the sewers. Between my 2x multiplier, another multiplier room near the very start, and a crocodile who spits out money, the sewer level was a very good one for stud collecting. This is also where I unlocked the final suit, Robin's water suit, which lets you run around underwater instead of just floating on the surface. We fought criminals, wrestled crocodiles out of respect for Steve Irwin, collected mini kits, and fought our way to Ray Kroc. Croc. I will just say, because this is another boss fight where you just punch them over and over, that probably is something they could have done better, because there's all these diverse supervillains, but every boss fight is just punch them over and over. Killer Croc drops a zoo pamphlet, Robin does Fortnite dances, and we head to the aforementioned zoo. Oh my god, frogs. So at my local zoo, they have peacocks that they just let roam around all over the zoo. Like, they're not in cages or anything, they're just walking on the paths with everyone else. They'd probably be easy to steal. I'm leaving the zoo now. Sir, what's that in your bag? Nothing. We fought our way through the lions and tigers and bears, oh my. I got to pilot a turtle and rescue my first endangered citizen in what felt like forever. And just past the 4-hour mark, we moved to this area with a boat and a bunch of lily pads to jump off of. I found a demolition suit and blew a hole in the boat, which I then entered and came across the man-bat, who would probably be terrifying if he wasn't Lego. After pausing the game to tell Mormons at my door to go away, I proceeded to engage in hand-to-hand combat with the man-bat. This is one thing that I appreciate about Lego Batman, though. It introduced me to a lot of Batman villains like Man-Bat that I had never heard of before. But after dispatching the Man-Bat, we moved back out to the snow where the Penguin's army of penguins were out in full force, and the last level of this arc begins. And for a finale level, it's actually pretty short. You fight people and build a path before going into an ice cave where Penguin and the Catwoman are waiting. I did get confused for a second because there's this thing you can push which didn't seem to be doing anything, but then the trash man started sending explosive penguins at me, and I understood that I was supposed to redirect them with it to blow up penguin stations or something. I'm not quite sure what they are. And afterwards, he jumps down and lets you punch him, his controller blows up, his plan is ruined, and that's the second hero story done. 420 in, dude, weed, LMAO. 420 in and I'm through 27% of the game. There was one red brick I noticed at the start of the sewer level, so I backtracked there for a second and went ahead and grabbed it. I had no clue what it was, but just knew it was easy to get. And it turned out to be Sonic Pain, which I had no interest in wasting money on at the moment, but whatever. I moved on next to the final hero story, the Jokers. The Joker's evil plan is to blow up a cathedral and a bunch of other places. So we travel to a toxic waste plant, where we encounter the Joker's henchmen, which are regular guys in purple, and clowns. At one point, I thought I softlocked myself. I just couldn't move. Help. I did break out of it, thankfully, or this video probably would have been delayed another week after I uninstalled the game and threw my computer off the balcony. We worked our way through the treacherous hall, solving basic puzzles and avoiding waste until we found this level's big bad, the Mad Hatter. Yes, a Batman villain based off the Alice in Wonderland character. He even gave himself buck teeth like a rabbit. So we beat up the little schizo and mission accomplished. Next up, Batman and Robin fly to a theme park because Gordon is being held captive by Joker and Margot Robbie. So we fought our way through clowns and past teacups. Robin sucked off more pieces using the attract suit until we found Harley Quinn. When I was a child, and like I said, I didn't know Batman villains, I thought she was a dude. This fight actually is kind of different, so you chase her, and to run away from you, she does backflips. So you keep chasing her until she gets dizzy and stops, which allows me to punch her in the We free Gordon, then see Joker on a helicopter, which means in level 3 we get another vehicle mission, this time in the air. With the Batwing and Batcopter, Robin doesn't even get his own themed vehicle this time. The level itself is whatever. I blew stuff up and launched torpedoes and towed bombs and got a couple mini kits. The final boss of the level is Scarecrow and his biplane, who you tow as Robin and then bomb as Batman. We cause a mid-air collision despite Batman's rule about not killing anyone, only for the two of them to somehow survive. I can't believe how unrealistic this Lego game for children is. Oh no, there's a killer moth on the loose we have to stop. This level is called In the Dark Knight. That's a multi-layered pun. One thing I was conscious of at this point was collecting enough studs to eventually break the 2 million barrier. The reason being that at 2 million I could afford score times 4 after unlocking it. This entire time, I just had to listen to someone getting their clock cleaned in the background. It got slightly annoying. The next floor up, I put together a disco ball and got to pilot a robot. Then we found the killer moth. I beat the killer moth by powering up a light bulb, which he couldn't help but fly to because, you know, he's white. While threatening Killer Moth with chemical warfare, Batman and Robin look out a window and see Joker and Harley Quinn at the cathedral they plan to bomb, setting up our grand finale. Step 1 was figuring out how to get inside, which I did through parkouring, then shooting Harley with water cannons. Next, we had to navigate our way inside and climb up to the attic. I killed myself in Lego Batman and Minecraft a couple times trying to reach a purple stud, then continued my pursuit of the clown lady. When we reached the top, you may expect some epic boss fight, but it wasn't really. We ringed a couple bells, shot a helicopter with water cannons, then punched out the Joker. The Joker was defeated, and that's every hero level done. Just over 6 hours in, I've gotten through about 36% of the game. I wasn't quite to 2 million studs yet, but I was pretty close, so I booted up the second Riddler villain level again, which had the score times 4 red brick. I think it's funny free playing the villain levels because I'll be like Batman or Robin just beating up police officers. I found the red brick by the melted ice cream pool. None of the mini kits were that hard to find either, and collecting them all got me over 2 million studs, so I bought score times 4. Next, I moved on to the villain levels I hadn't completed yet, starting with the penguins. Penguins. The first level has us as the Penguin and Bane, who looks like a roided up Mexican wrestler. With the new multiplier, getting lots of studs wasn't an issue at all. The stud multiplier is actually stacked, so score times 2 and score times 4 combined to give me a times 8 multiplier. Level 2 replaces Bane with Catwoman. You're mostly on rooftops. It features a boss fight with a police helicopter and ends with us breaking into a museum. Level 3 is yet another vehicle mission, this time as Killer Croc and Penguin in their respective aquatic vehicles. And I'm sure you were wondering why Catwoman showed up at the end of Penguin's hero story before, despite Batman and Robin catching her earlier. Well, the next level of the villain story has us break into the sewers, build a giant rideable crocodile, break into a prison, and free her. Now, before moving on to the last level, I had nearly 3 million studs saved up and wanted to go back to grab the score times 6 red brick. So I headed back to the plant place in free play, found the red brick, collected all the mini kits, and went back to the hub to buy score times 6, which put me at a 48 times multiplier in total. We are so back. Now on the last level in Penguin's story mode, they scout out the zoo, Man-Bat stays behind to deal with Batman and Robin, and Penguin and Catwoman have to fight their way to the Penguin controller. With my new multiplier, I hit True Villain, the stud counter thing, in 14 seconds. This level is kind of monotonous. Most of it takes place in the same area, and you gotta push ice blocks around and build a car thing. Inside, you slide down into the place that controls the penguins. They put it together and they celebrate because there's no way Batman can defeat them now, and that's the penguin missions. We are at 49% in almost 8 hours. Now, I followed this up by going back through the penguin levels, starting with the boat level because it had the red brick for the mini-kit detector, which would make finding mini-kits much easier since it basically tells you where they are in each level. Next up was the sewer level, which had the red brick detector. I'm sure you can guess what it does. So I collected that red brick and all the mini-kits and bought the red brick, of course. Money was no longer an issue at this point, even more so after I went through the last 2 Riddler villain levels for their red bricks and mini-kits. Just under 9 hours in, and I had every score multiplier and all the Riddler villain levels fully completed. I only had 3 more Penguin villain levels to unlock everything in as well, so I thought I might as well knock those out while I was at it, even though I didn't really need anything in them. This whole time while I was free playing these levels trying to collect everything, I was listening to internet anarchist videos about YouTuber downfalls. My main takeaway was that the best way to not have a downfall is to not be a pedophile. The last Penguin level has the worst mini-kit in the game. On the slide, you have to go to a specific path to pass through 5 gates to get the mini-kit to appear, and if you miss one, as I did my first attempt, you have no way to retry without restarting the entire level and making it all the way back. Thankfully, I got it my second try and I didn't have to try it a third time. With the Penguin villain levels now fully completed, I moved back to story mode, now onto the Joker's villain levels. These were the last levels I needed to do in story mode for the whole game. As Joker and Harley, I traveled through the Star Carnival and beat up Gordon, then did a vehicle mission as the Joker's helicopter and Scarecrow's biplane. This dude tries proposing to his girlfriend, then gets freaking murdered. Scarecrow and Joker break into an art museum because after the Tim Burton movie, Joker now has to always deface art. Killer Moth is still worthless. I don't even know what this is supposed to be. And of course, we break into the cathedral and climb to the roof to get it all situated to be blown up. Joker and Harley nearly share a premarital kiss, but thankfully Joker fakes her out, and that's the Joker villain levels completed, story-wise at least. I didn't really want to run through the Joker levels again right away for mini-kits since I just played through them all, but I sucked it up and did it anyway. I got to drive remote-controlled cars, blew stuff up as the Batplane or whatever it was called, wore Batman's red suit, mind-controlled a guy, and tore apart the cathedral, this time as Batman. And bada bing, bada boom, that's all the villain levels completely done. Mini-kits, red brick, studs, all of it. The 10 mini-kits for each level come together to build trophies you can view in the trophy room, and there's a super kit for getting true villain on each level, but more importantly, I've also unlocked a bonus mission, Arkham Asylum. The goal for this level is to collect 1 million studs by breaking stuff, running around and grabbing them, solving puzzles, or whatever else. It is a lot different from the Lego City levels from past games. There's only 2 areas, this gym area place and then a maze where invincible Eskimo women attack you the entire time. I did learn that I could eat them with the plant monster for extra money and they just respawn infinitely, so after I felt like I found all the studs on the ground that I could, I just started eating people for the last chunk of studs, and there's 1 million. The last thing I had was the hero levels in free play. That's a lie, there was more left after, but basically all I had left were these. All the red bricks for the hero levels just unlocked suit upgrades that I didn't care about at all, so there wasn't a dumb order I tried to do them in, just sequentially starting with the Riddler. I did also like going through these better than the villain ones. They felt less tedious, but I think that's probably because it had been so much longer since I last played them. They felt fresher. Hello, plant monster, long time no see. Look at all these Two-Faces, I don't even know who's who. Don't worry, citizen, I'll save you. And hey, it's the red brick from earlier. This part was extremely annoying. You're supposed to push these red buttons, and I just couldn't get them to work. It took minutes of trying until I finally got them, and I still don't even know what I did differently. I don't know why Catwoman is in pink, but she can jump high and that's all that matters. I got to run on a treadmill alongside Penguin, so that was cool. And the Chuckler levels were a breeze too, with me sucking up toxic waste, playing carnival games, flying around in the Batcopter, ruining the nightclub experience for its patrons, and desecrating a holy place. That was all the mini kits and red bricks. In the hero trophy room, I had the Wayne Manor bonus level. This one you also need 1 million studs, but it's completely different. You don't get studs for destroying anything. Well, you do get one after a door unlocks from destroying flowers, whatever, but most of the studs come from 2 mini games you play as Robin on the computer. The first is a side-scroller. Some studs are hidden by breakable blocks, others are just out in the open. The other game is like Marble Blast or something, where you push around bombs to blow up fans for studs. It took me a few minutes. I got the last one, and when I left, I was given 1 more stud, which is supposed to be the last one. I backtracked and realized I missed a block in the side-scroller. Oh well. Mission complete. I went to the store and bought everything I hadn't yet, and moment of truth. It reads 100%, so there you go, in about 16 and a half hours. BRB, changing the title of the video to I gave myself 17 hours to 100% Lego Batman. If you like this video, click the one on screen to see another Lego video from me. As always, thanks to my patrons for supporting the channel. Happy Halloween.